Hey guys, so today I want to do a drawing of some different kinds of vegetables. So for this, I want to make sure, because I want to really point out all of the pretty colors of them that you don't always think of when you think of vegetables. So I want to do this in two parts today. I'm going to draw it in pencil, and then I've got my crayons here so that I can go and add all of those details of colors. So I want to do different types of vegetables and show the kinds that grow above the ground that we eat and then kinds that grow below the ground. So in order to do that, I'm going to almost look at this like a cross section of the planet. So I'm going to make a line, not quite halfway, but maybe right about there, that goes all the way across. And this is going to be my ground line. So above here is above the ground, and below here is below the ground. So later on when I color this, I'm going to have my blue for the sky, and I'm going to have brown for under the ground, the soil, the earth. So the first one I want to try and draw is a vegetable that grows under the ground. So I'm going to be doing a lot of work down here, but all vegetables that grow under the ground still need a big portion of their plant to be above the ground too. They're going to need their leaves so that they can catch sunlight. So watch this. I'm going to start with a potato. All right, and a potato is a plant, like I said, a vegetable that grows underground. It's called a root vegetable or a tuber. So watch this. There's usually a big potato under the ground. If you've ever had a potato before it's been peeled and you see those dots all over it, they're called eyes. They call them the eyes of the potato. But what those really are, those will send out roots into the ground, and they will get water and nutrients from the soil, but they will also sprout other potatoes from it. So there's some more roots, getting more of that nutrient and soil. See, I'm just doing it lightly because later on I'm going to go over it with my darker crayons. So then I want to add the details of the plant above the ground. So I've got to make a stem up through here. I'm just going to kind of give myself an idea of the shape that I want. I want a big long stem, but we know that off those stems come all these other leaves that will have branches and leaves. The leaves are going to catch all that sunlight, so I'm just drawing some shapes for leaves because again I'm going to add some details when I color it in later. And then you know what else I want to make sure to put on here? I don't know if you know this, but potatoes have some really pretty flowers on them. So I want to make sure to put some flowers. So I'm going to go like that. They have a little part in the middle. You'll see when we color them. That's why I want to make sure I have my purple crayon. You know they have a light purple flower? They're really pretty. All right, so that's my basic above the below ground part with the potato, above with the leaves and the stems and the flowers. So I'm going to do another root vegetable next to that one. This one you might be more familiar with how it grows because I know we grow these at our school. So this one, I wonder if you could tell what it is by the shape I'm making. I'm going to start right up here at the top of it, and I'm going to make like a long, almost ovalish shape. Can you tell what that is? Yeah, it's a carrot. A carrot is actually the root of the carrot plant. So it grows underground like this, and it even has a few roots that go out from that. But then, of course, like I said, all root vegetables still need their leaves above the ground so that they can catch all that sunlight. So I'm going to they have some fluffy, bunchy leaves for carrots. You know what's cool about those leaves and carrots? It's hard to tell, of course, when to pick a carrot because it's underground. But when you see its head start to pop up, and you'll see it right here, you'll see the bottom of the leaves, the green part, and you'll start to see that orange part or the color of the carrot that you planted because you know they have purple ones, but that's beside the point. You want to make sure that that's above the ground, and that's when you know to pick it. So we've got a basic carrot there. I want to do one more root vegetable, just to show a different kind. And this one, it looks almost like a cross between those two, between that tuber and the root. It's still a root vegetable because it grows underground. If you can guess what it is. But it's closer to the top right here. And we'll have some roots going there to get some more nutrients and water for the plant. This is an onion, and they have really cool leaves at the hurt you, but they don't really furl out like the ones from the carrot or the potato. And then I want to do one that's a totally above ground vegetable. The only part of it that's going to be below the ground are the roots to get, again, the nutrients from the soil and the water. And this is one of my favorite ones. Oh, I'm just going to make some roots like this. You know, they're going to travel all over. Like a big, long stem. And I'm going to make some branches off of it. Now, this is, again, one of my favorite, I guess it's not a vegetable, a fruit, because it does have the seeds inside. But watch, this one requires a lot of sunlight. So I'm going to make some big leaf shapes, lots of leaves. So they can get a lot of sunlight, because all of that sun is going to produce some delicious tomatoes. So see, I'm just going to add some round shapes in here to put some tomatoes on there. Oh man, I love tomatoes. So I've got my basic shapes of all of those. Now I want to go back, like I said, and I want to add the details with my crayons. So I'm going to skip the brown for the soil and the blue for the sky until the very end, because I want to concentrate on all of my different vegetables. So I've got a couple of different greens out here, because I'm going to start with all of those stems and leaves. So I'm going to go with this green. I'm going to do a darker one actually first, just for the first stem. So I'm going to follow that shape that I made. Maybe thicken it up a bit. And then go and trace my leaf shapes. Remember, I just had some sketches. So this is giving me an idea of where I want those. That's the flower, so I just want to put the stem to it and not color the flower green itself. So now I'm just getting some shapes along here. Some leaves in there, I had another flower in there, so I need another stem. And then I'm going to go back just with a different shade of green and color those in. Or if you see your pencil through, because later on you can take care of that if you don't want to see that. I don't mind. I think it just adds a little detail. Again, it's a different color. Not everything is always the same shade of everything. I'm just filling those in. I can even add that green to the green I already did, you know. It's like when you look at your garden, isn't it so bright? That's one of the things that's so fun about growing the garden. When the spring comes and you start to see all of those colors pop out. And you can go back to that green I had and add some shading or different color to those, just to add that, you know, pop. See how it's already standing out so much? Alright, and then I told you how I needed my purple crayon because of those pretty flowers that are on there. I know. I want to just outline it quickly and then shade it in. Get all of that purple around there. And then I'll just show you, it has a yellow dot in the middle. Now, where I grew up in Maine, they had this one whole county at the top of the state that grew so many potatoes. Every year they would have a potato blossom festival, and that would be when all of these blossoms, the flowers, started to drop off, and they knew it was time to get ready for harvesting soon. It was a whole big thing. So let's add that last color there. And then I want to get down under the ground. And for my potatoes, I'm going to try and not color so dark with brown, because I know that when I do my soil around there, I still want to be able to see the potato itself. So I'm going to do a really dark outline first. And I do that by pressing down pretty hard with my crayon. I want to make sure it's dark. And look, I'm even going around twice. I'm going to do it for the 3 potatoes that I've got. That what they call the mother tuber, the first big one under there, and then these other 2 regular tubers on the other side. And then darken those eyes that I drew, where the roots will come out. So you see I've got a good dark potato shape there. And then I'm just going to go lightly in here. See how if I go inside that outline I just drew, it's a lot easier to stay in those lines when you've got a good guideline outside it. There we go. And then because I want to distinguish it from the brown that's going to be the soil, the brown of the potatoes, I think I'm going to do the roots in black. They usually aren't like that. They look almost more white or brownish white, but just to show where they are, I'm going to add those like that. Who knows, off picture here, there's another potato growing. See, that's the basic one. So we've got that. I think once you've seen that, you're going to see how easy it is to do the rest of these. Just the same way. The same way, I'm going to add those lines for where I drew the leaves. And the stems for that bushy one. And for this, I'm going to add that lighter green. Just around the whole shape, that inside the whole shape I've just outlined. And then I can go back with that darker green. Just I'll add some lines, and just to get that other color in there too. Huh? And then you know what color I'm going to get ready for my carrot itself. I've got to get my orange out. I've got a few shades of orange, so I'm going to start with the darkest one, which is just the plain orange. And I'm going to go around that shape I drew. Remember that long kind of oval shape? And have you ever seen fresh carrots, how they have lines across them for where they grow? I'm going to put that. And then why don't I just get a different shade? This one's yellow orange, but you know, I could have done it with just the regular orange that I had and drawn it lighter, because I want to see those outline details that I have. Alright, you're ready for the onion. Now I'm going to keep this orange up for the onion because that's a similar color for it. It's not quite the same, so I'm going to add some shading, but let's again do the leaves first. So I make those long leaves. Gosh, I keep grabbing that paler one first, but that's fine for this. Let's switch it around so that I've got that. Remember, I told you you can always go and outline it again. I want to just make sure to keep that long shape. They don't really fold over like a lot of the other vegetables that we've done, where you see. So I'll go around it with the orange. You know, watch this. Let me see. I'm going to try a little brown in there first. And see how I'm doing that really lightly. So it's not as dark as the brown that I did for the potatoes. But it does look a little different than that orange, doesn't it? So I went lightly over the orange I did. And then maybe I'll just go lightly over that too. If you do things lightly like that, you can keep shading and adding the color. That really looks like the color of an onion to me. Alright, now to my favorite. Ready? I'm going, just like I did for all the other ones, I'm going to go with my dark green all the way up to the top of what I drew. And I'm going to outline all of the different branches and leaf shapes. I didn't put any flowers on this one, but wherever you see a tomato, there was a flower there at one time. Wherever the flowers on a tomato plant grow, that is where your tomatoes will grow. And they have really pretty yellow flowers. If you're growing a tomato plant right now, you know what I'm talking about. They're really pretty, look, tiny little flowers. So I've got the outline. Let me do a quick shade for the insides of all those leaves. My mother always grew tomatoes when I was little, and I loved it. I would almost always pick one off the plant when it looked really bright and juicy and eat it just like an apple. She didn't always appreciate that, of course, but Alright, let me thicken this up. Because as the tomatoes grow, they get heavier and heavier, and it needs a strong, sturdy stem to hold that plant up, because it really starts to weigh down. So making them a little darker in the middle. I really like how those two colors look together, huh? Looks like maybe the sun is shining right on all of these plants. Look how bright they are. And then, of course, for my tomato, I've got to get the brightest red I can, because I know that this is going to be the tomato that I want to pick and plop into my mouth. So I'm going to do these big ones really red. I'm going around and around and around. I'm going to go really dark on that, too. Because, again, I want to eat that tomato. Here's another big one. I'm going to keep the bigger ones I have, I'm going to keep red. But I want to show you, too, what it looks like when they're not quite ready to pick, or when they're still trying to get all of the food they can make from the sun. And you'll find sometimes yellow or orangey ones, and that means they're getting ready to grow. So I'm going to put a yellow here, maybe a hint of red, where it looks like it's getting ready. Look at that. All right.
I kind of wish my son would.
Total. Yeah. So you'll see some orange ones too, but I'm going to add more red to that because it's close to the top and I want to eat it, right? All right, maybe that'll be more orange one too. Because look, it's hidden under the leaves. It needs a little more sun before we can eat. Then I want to go and get my black, because I want to show the difference between the roots, but they're not really black. But this one has a long stem, a long root system that goes all the way under the ground. Get all of the water and nutrients. You know what I should put before I grow into there? I've told you about this. What color would I make a worm? A worm. Because, you know, worms and all of those insects and other things that live under the ground, all they're doing when they're tunneling under the ground and they're redistributing the nutrients, they are helping all things that grow. Look, I'm adding those. Put that black for that. I'll make in a nice pink earthworm. What do you think? That'll really show up well when I do my soil, my dirt all around it, right? So I'm going to go along that first line I started. That's looking to be like the top of my garden. And then the last thing I need to do is do all of the soil around here. And I'm just doing this quick, just to show you. And look, I can go right through the brown because that's just adding to that. But I'm making sure to be really careful to go around the other colors I have in here. The colors that are lighter than it. I can go through the black without a problem. I can go through the brown without a problem. But if I brought this brown crayon across any of the oranges and yellows, look what happened. It starts to change that color, huh? And that was down before it. So make sure to go around your earthworm. I'm going to see him. I know, of course, he's covered in dirt anyway, but whatever. I don't want to get into the color there. And again, I'm just doing this quickly to show you that you can go back and really add all of those details, making sure you're coloring it really nicely so that there aren't big gaps of white in between. Look at that. Go all the way to the edge over these roots. I could even go back and put different insects under here. What if I wanted to make an anthill right there? Not that I would want ants in my garden, but you can't always get what you want. Alright, does it look done? What about my sky? It's not quite done. All of our plants really need bright sunlight. They also need rain, but I'm not going to put that. But, you know, I'm just doing the same thing I did with my brown. I'm going to go around what I've drawn up here. So you could see that sky around it, right? You know, you could paint this too if you didn't feel like coloring. I've done this with watercolor, and that's really fun. If you decide to do that, I would love to see it. If you want to do your watercolor, I would love to see it. And you know what? I would probably do it in the same order I just did with the crayons. Do your vegetables and your lighter colors first. Let your whole paper dry, because watercolor tends to bleed across. After you finish your vegetables above and below ground, let it dry, and then go back and paint around it. Then go back and paint your sky and your ground, your soil. Oh man, this is making me kind of hungry, huh? I could make a salad. And you know, you could, if you're thinking about details, we learned from when we were studying insects how important all different kinds of insects are in distributing plant seeds. So, for instance, these potato blossoms, they look that way for a reason, because it brings certain animals, like birds or insects, to come chomp on those leaves or redistribute those seeds. See how with all of these details and colors I put on, I barely see those pencil lines I had earlier, so. That's what, when I do drawings like this, I tend to sketch like that first, where I don't press too hard with my pencil at first, because I know I'm going to be going back and adding to it, whether it's with crayons, or colored pencils, or markers, or paint, or just more drawing. There, how cute is that? See, you'll always find something that you can add to it, or something you want to fix, but I think you get the general idea, huh? Here is our delicious garden showing our vegetables that grow below the ground, with the root vegetables, and above the ground. Please share your pictures. I would love to see them. I'm going to go make a salad right now. Enjoy.